R.F. Kuang is largely regarded as a 5-star author who can write no wrong. So how does Katabasis stack up against the rest of her work? Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is Spineless Books, your one-stop spoiler-free shop for all things audiobook. Katabasis is my third R.F. Kuang novel. Now, first I read Babel, and I really felt like Babel was mind-blowing, and I had no idea what to expect, and it just took my breath away in a number of ways. I also own the Poppy War trilogy, but somehow I haven't managed to get around to that. I've heard really great things, but it's just sort of been sitting in my book collection for a while now. I also read Yellowface. Now, Yellowface is very different from Babel, but Yellowface also really got to me. It's a satire, and it's not in any way like her other books, but I just found her ability to write an unlikable character with ease really impressive, and although it kind of felt to me like it was a departure, I think it really was successful. I know some people that didn't like it, but I thought Yellowface was great. When I heard that Kuang was coming out with a new novel, I put it on hold at the library before it was even released. As a result, I didn't have to wait too long. I think I was maybe third in line for it in total, which was pretty awesome. So as soon as it came through, I put aside everything on my TBR and I cleared space for the new R.F. Kuang novel, Katabasis. The book follows Alice Law. She's an American graduate student studying magic at Cambridge. Through an unfortunate accident, Alice sort of, maybe kind of kills her professor. So she has this idea that she's going to use magic to go down to hell, where everyone goes, and she's going to bring his soul back. I mean, after all, her dissertation and future job prospects are very much at stake. So Alice is highly motivated to get her professor back intact. Just as Alice is about to step into a pentagram and travel to another realm, Peter Murdoch, a fellow graduate student, appears. Peter is gangly and brilliant, and it's really kind of hard to tell at the beginning exactly how Alice feels about him, other than that she's irritated that he's there. But here's the thing, Alice and Peter complement each other in a way, because Alice, as a magician, is a linguist, and Peter's specialty is logic. And Peter basically lets Alice know that he will be going with her because he too needs their professor back. Their partnership may be unplanned, but they quickly begin their descent into hell, looking to rescue their professor. Much of the book, in my opinion, is them navigating through the levels of hell. Now, there's a lot of obstacles and crazy things that they face, so there's a lot that happens when that's going on. I found the beginning of the book pretty engaging, and I was interested in the plot and the story. But something happened in the second quarter of the novel that just... I can't really explain it, but the wheels sort of stopped turning in this book. I felt like it got really slow, and all of a sudden nothing was happening. I mean, things were happening, but it didn't feel like things were happening. And I'm accustomed to a pace from Kuang that in every book there's pretty much nonstop action or plot points. And this was really kind of out of character, in my opinion, that the book got slow. Fortunately, around the midpoint of the book, there was a plot point that really changed things. And I felt like after that plot point, which I'm not going to spoil for you, things really picked up again. I think, overall, the book had pretty decent pacing except for that slow spot. So the thing that's dangerous, though, is that because that was in the first half of the book, I could see people wanting to put it down at that point. I do think it was worth sticking with, but I have to admit that part got really hard, and until it picked up again, I did contemplate whether or not I wanted to go forward. But it's R.F. Kuang, so I had enough trust in her writing ability that I figured let me ride this out and see where it goes, and in the end that was a wise decision. I think my biggest beef with this book is I think it could have been a lot shorter. It clocked in as a 19-hour audiobook, and that's a pretty hefty commitment. To me, anytime you go over 15 hours, you're looking at a long haul. So I think she could have cut a lot of the action out of it, abbreviated a few places, and it just dragged a little bit, like I said, in some spots, and if she would have tightened that up a little, I think it could have been much stronger. I didn't find the story predictable in any way. I didn't see the ending coming. I think there are going to be readers who will see the ending coming and will understand what's about to happen more so than I did. I have a really great suspension of disbelief, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of R.F. Kuang books, you really have to think and follow what she's doing. And in this one, I just kind of didn't have to. So it didn't feel as complicated. And maybe that's why I didn't really think ahead about it, because I wasn't being challenged to, if that makes sense. I enjoyed the interplay between the characters, but in the end, I really kind of felt like this just wasn't as exciting as I'm used to from R.F. Kuang. It was not by any means a bad book. In fact, I think it was still a really good book. But for me, Kuang is a 5-star writer, so when something's not 5 stars, it's kind of like, okay. I think if this had been any other author, I probably would have felt like it was really good, but I just have such high expectations for Kuang, which maybe is a little unfair, but I think this one was just good. The book was narrated by Mirag Sims as Alice and Will Watt as Peter and a host of other characters. I don't think the narration was bad, but I do have a couple of beefs with this one. The first being that as a native speaker, Mirag Sims is clearly British. Alice, however, is American, and I would actually say that Mirag Sims had a fairly inconsistent American accent. I didn't actually realize Alice was American until a little way into the book because it just didn't land as clearly as it could have. Again, it didn't really take away from the book, but it's something that I feel like could have been sharper, and maybe with an editor looking over it a little differently might have made a better impact. My other beef was that there are some scenes in this story where Alice and Peter dialogue and they use both narrators in the audiobook. It felt very clear to me that the narrators were recorded separately. They didn't feel spliced together well. It felt choppy and the dialogue felt disconnected. So I really feel like each narrator recorded their part and then somebody put it together in post, but they didn't actually hear each other because it didn't sound like a conversation. Now, again, it's not a huge part of the book and it didn't take me out of the book entirely, but it's just something that I kind of expect better, especially from a book from R.F. Kuang. I think if you're a big fan of R.F. Kuang, you should still go for this book. I mean, she is a great writer, but don't go into this book with expectations that it's going to knock your socks off. It's good, it's maybe great, but it's not amazing like I feel like I'm used to from R.F. Kuang. I mean, it's really a pretty great problem to have, to be spoiled and think that an author is so good that everything they write will be brilliant. But I think on this one, I wouldn't call it a miss or a flop. I would just say it's decent. Now, I rated this 4 stars. I think my other 2 R.F. Kuang books have been 5s. I mean, Babel definitely was a 5, if not like a 10. But I just feel like this one was all right from her. For another author, maybe it's a great book. But from her, I wasn't as impressed as I wish I would have been. But remember, you might love what I hate and hate what I love. So make your own opinion. But thanks for listening to mine. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed already, and if you're still watching at this point, please leave me a like and subscribe so you can get more notifications from my channel. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time.